Bună ziua, sunt Bogdan Alecu și bine ați venit la o nouă emisiune ZF Investiții în România, realizată de Ziel Financiar și de CEC Bank. Astăzi, în prima parte a emisiunii, vom discuta despre o investiție majoră în România, o tranzacție pe care au semnat-o cei de la SPEEDWELL, iar în partea a doua a emisiunii vom discuta despre piața echipamentelor electrice alături de Dan Ovedenie, directorul comercial al celor de la Elbi. Revenim însă la SPEEDWELL. Hello Didier, thank you for joining us today.
Good afternoon, Bogdan. Thank you for inviting us. Always a pleasure to be on the show.
Didier, first of all, one of the hot subjects in the last 2 months almost was your transaction. Why did you sell?
Well, it was, in our view, an organic move. Our new shareholders are actually investors that were with us from day one. So they believed in the projects we've done, and the fact that they have now stepped from just financing projects to also being shareholder in our operational company is a huge sign of trust and for the team and what they've done over the last 10 years. And it's also a big belief in Eastern Europe because the commitment they've made is a commitment in the long term to keep SPEEDWELL alive beyond Jan and me as an investment vehicle for Eastern Europe.
And from what I saw in your recent transactions, also with the office building, you're not selling, you're not marking an exit. You're not selling the entire thing. So you didn't sell all Miro. Now you didn't sell, you and your partner, didn't sell all SPEEDWELL. Why is that? Why aren't you exiting, or why aren't you remaining major stakeholder and stockholder?
Well, the two are not comparable. What happens on a project level, like Miro, has nothing to do with what happens with our operational company, and the numbers and percentages are not relevant. The relevance is there that we have two big shareholders there with a large commitment and a large belief in the company, and then how it's structured depends on a deal by deal basis. But it's not there's no strategy behind it, so to say.
How much did you sell from SPEEDWELL? What percentage did you and Jean keep, and how much did you sell from the company?
Well, again, I think the numbers or the percentages are not relevant. The equity commitment is relevant, and Jan and I keep on being involved in moving the projects forward. And the whole constellation behind it is something I'd rather not elaborate on, since it's not the essence. The essence is that we are building a long-term story that SPEEDWELL survives beyond Jan and me.
Was this necessary for SPEEDWELL to become a regional player, to expand beyond Romania, also to Poland?
It was not a necessity as such. It was a choice. We had grown with a bit of a complex structure where every project was financed separately. Now, actually, the big financing partners are owners of the of the development management company, and that gives you the power to act much quicker. Moreover, the two shareholders are equity partners, so we are not dependent on fluctuations in the markets, on bond interest rates. And things like that. So we are in a position to grasp opportunities when they occur, and that for sure helps the long-term strategy and the agility of SPEEDWELL, both in Romania as in our expansion plans towards Poland.
Talking not just about SPEEDWELL, but for example, are Western companies more interested in entering or investing in Eastern Europe because of the yields offered here, and not to mention to be protected from cases like we saw what happened in autumn last year with Sigma in Germany. Was that a signal for them to go east, to go look for yields that are more competitive in comparison with interest?
That's not what I can see, at least in the environment we work in. Moving to Eastern Europe, the profitability as such has never been the main driver. The two main drivers are, one, opportunity. There is simply still much more supply and much more chance to do a good project than there is in a saturated market like Western Europe. The long-term belief in the region is another one, and the overall situation is that Western Europe is probably over its peak, while Eastern Europe is still on a growth curve. And last but not least, and I'm sorry to start about it in the early stages of this conversation, the permitting issues, which of course we encounter also in Eastern Europe and Bucharest in particular, are still far worse in Western Europe, to an extent that it has almost become impossible to have a project of scale permitted. And that is also a main driver for investors that need to put their money to work, that they can't start projects where in the next 10 years they don't know if they will get a permit or not. Hence, they are also looking for other opportunities in Eastern Europe.
What's the situation with Griro project, with Citizen?
We've obtained a favorable opportunity approval, an important step in our PUZ process. In the meantime, we are continuing to work with the authorities to get to the next step, being the preliminary approval. It's a tedious project, but there is progress. So, of course, subject to the outcome of the elections, we are hoping to have an PUZ approved mid next year.
Is there something they asked for? You didn't have in your plan for this project, and you're considering it to have it, to invest in it, a certain component, or I don't know.
No, given the scale and the size of Citizen, it was always conceived as a city in the city with all possible amenities, including schools, medical facilities, even small police offices, shops and office and retail and residential, obviously. So we had everything in the mix. So it's rather of fine-tuning the mix as such than adding something to it. So there are no uncommon requests. The same for maintaining part of the old factory, although nothing is a monument. We started with the initial master plan already integrating part of the old structures to show our respect to the heritage of the site. And this basically all the boxes ticked that the city hall would like. We had it already in the initial master plan. So there is no change in that aspect.
I don't know if I've asked you in the past, but is there a certain project you saw in Western Europe that inspired you for Citizen?
There are a few examples. Also in Belgium, there is a specific one, but there are a couple also in Warsaw, for instance. So these projects, maybe not at a similar scale, do exist in several cities. So it's not exceptional, but as such, of course, due to the scale, it is for Bucharest. So we've tried to find good examples and take bits and pieces everywhere, combine them with Seki, our internationally renowned architect, to bring the right mix. But it's not a copy-paste, so to say, of one specific project in particular.
And overall, how do you see the Romanian real estate market at this point in time?
We need to differentiate, of course, in the different asset classes across the market. Fortunately, after a very slow end of 23, we do see the first half of 24 on the residential side going back to almost normal sales levels, where 2023 was still demonstrating a bit of uncertainty, be it the war, be it still inflation, be it interest rates, if they were still going to increase or not. So we have the impression that now things are more stable. So the high ups and downs are gone. There is talk of interest rates going down a little bit, but I think if they go down is less important than the fact that there is predictability. And because of this predictability and also potential tax changes that occurred or didn't occur at the beginning of this year, has kind of calmed down buyers, and they started investing again in their homes. So the residential market is quite in a good place. Be it also that prices continue to rise, be it not at double digits as they did before, but due to the construction cost, which is not going down, there is simply no room on the sales prices to go down. Furthermore, the current permitting issue, certainly in Bucharest, is and the market in general, where other developers have slowed down, is decreasing the supply. So there is a continuous demand, lower supply. So automatically, this will drive prices up further. The office market is a different story, obviously. There is still very little movement, both driven by the lack of transactions of buyers, but also work from home. The uncertainty with occupiers, how much space they need, has slowed everything down. Although there we again see the same tendency of business owners or managers having made up their mind to say, look, this is the model we want to apply for the next 5 years. So this is the surface we need. So we also see the market picking up again, albeit not as fast as on the residential side. Industrial still stable. Our Space Plus concept is working well, so we do have quite a lot of demand. People keep on shopping around, but again, that's part of the business. So that's quite of a stable market.
Do you plan more investments in Space Plus, in industrial?
We do. So the first one is fully finished. The second one, we have obtained our PUZ in the east side of Bucharest. We are actively sourcing another plot in the north before we start approaching the regional cities.
So you go ahead with all your plans according to the initial plan. Nothing has changed after the transaction?
No. To the contrary. So what is ongoing remains ongoing. With the equity commitment that was related to the transaction, we have more firepower now to expand even further. Again, the focus is first of all on Poland, also from a risk diversification aspect. And the permitting stop in Bucharest has forced us a bit to look beyond the borders, not to be dependent on one political fraction. But that doesn't mean that we don't believe in Romania anymore. The long-term basis remain very strong. The fundamentals are very strong in Romania, and we do have a large portfolio still to develop. So full steam ahead.
You talked about Bucharest, but what about Timișoara?
We have delivered our first building in our Paltin project in Timișoara. So currently the first SPAs are being signed and people are taking over their apartments and they are very happy. That's always in the end why you do it as a developer. So that's a very nice thing. We started up construction of our second building as well. And we are in PUZ stage for Unie, our new project in Timișoara. So we're very happy to be in the local market. The understanding with the local community and the local city hall is very well. So it shows that if you work side by side, keeping each other's interest in mind, that it does work to have a good cooperation.
Do you see a better situation in Timișoara, considering, a collaboration between you as an investor and City Hall, in comparison to Bucharest, of course?
Yes, I think what SPEEDWELL and what all the developers are asking from authorities is clear rules and for the authorities to implement them. And I have to applaud their Timișoara for being clear in how they set the rules, for being approachable. If there is some room for interpretation, then there is a very short communication line to sit together to understand, so we know which rules to follow. In return, like for the Paltin projects, we have made quite a considerable investment in renewing the road and creating deceleration and acceleration lines all at our expense. So it's a give and take situation, but as long as you know what to expect and what is expected from a developer also by the City Hall, that can be factored in the business plan, and that's how we like to work. Yeah. And that's a big difference indeed with Bucharest, where our main frustration is still the lack of access to the authorities. If something is not moving or a simple document that legally should take 30 days, takes 6 months to deliver, we don't even know why. We are just kept in the blind, and that's the main frustration.
did you have in mind a project to do in Bucharest that you're not going to do it here, but you are going to use the money to invest in Poland, for example?
Indeed, it's no secret. Whatever project doesn't have a POZ today, we will not acquire in Bucharest. And these are funds indeed which are allocated to Poland. But as a strategy, an equal amount of money has been allocated to Poland and Romania. So it's not an exit strategy for sure, but the funds are flexible. So if they can't be put to work in one location, obviously they look their way somewhere else.
What, for example, you as an investor, what attracts you to Poland and what to Romania? What are the advantages of both countries?
Well, the fundamentals are extremely similar. So we, even both from a practical point of view, all the legislation and permitting, etc., it's quite copy-paste. We also have populations which have need for new dwellings. So these fundamentals are there. The big difference is, I think, from a public point of view, the infrastructure in Poland has grown exponentially in a very positive sense, which is still lagging behind in Romania, which on the other hand also creates the opportunity in Romania for the future. And also the interaction with the authorities and the economic progress that they have made over the last few years has proven to be a very stable market, where Romania still has a bit more of ups and downs. So stability is, I think, one of the attraction points of Poland. But as fundamentals are concerned, both in the office market or the residential market, there is still for several tens of years supply needed in all asset classes.
What about your projects in Romania, the Meadows and Glenwood Estate? In what stage are they?
We are under construction in the first phase of the Meadows, due to be completed by the end of the year. So we're almost reaching the highest point. We do see, together with, let's say, picking up of the market, that people are a bit more prudent. So projects like the Ivy, which have buildings constructed and are under construction, sell better than buildings which are not ready yet. So off-plan sales are a bit slower, although we have sold about 20% of the Meadows. For Glenwood in Corbianca and Straco, we have obtained our POZ and are now in the final stages of obtaining the building permits. The idea is, the moment we have the building permit, to immediately build model houses so people can see the product and that we can meet the high expectations we are setting with this ecological project.
Are you looking for other plots of land to develop in Bucharest or in Bucharest area or Timișoara?
We are always open to look for new opportunities. We've never had the strategy of saying we need this much funds allocated to this city or this asset class. We've always approached our projects on a plot-by-plot level. So if a plot is being offered and it's at a good location, we look at it, and in fact, no matter where the location is, where the city is, or what the asset class is, if it has the right potential, we will keep on looking into it.
So it's possible to see SPEEDWELL also in other cities of Romania?
So we have assets in Cluj. We are in Timișoara. We bought a plot in Brașov. I don't know to what extent this is public knowledge, for a 600 unit development. And we are still looking into Iași for potential acquisitions. For the time being, these are the cities which are on the radar.
Why Brașov?
Again, like I mentioned before, the driver was the plot itself. Very nicely centrally located plot, which had that potential. And then for the rest, we look at the fundamentals. We see that Brașov is a growing city. It has, again, this strong historical center. It has the airport, which opened, which is for us also important. and not only for us practically, but in order to attract investment into a city, which in the end is the economical engine behind the salaries that need to be paid to pay our residential products. And so we see Brașov as one of the rising cities, and also, in fact, the only city which can also benefit from its closeness to Bucharest. And so we are sure that also residential projects at the right location in Brașov can attract buyers from Bucharest.
Mm-hmm. From what I saw, there is a pattern in your developments. You're looking for cities with good infrastructure or future good infrastructure, and also universities. Iași has a good university, second in largest city of Romania, and we'll have the A7 and the A8 highways towards Bucharest and Western Europe. Are these the main criteria for you when choosing a city?
They are. We always think in the long term, and the same applies with getting the new shareholders on board. The same applies for plots and the fundamentals of a city. So they need to be long term, and the future is with the young, as they say. So universities are key in that. Aside from existing industries which are already present, all these industries also do their homework, also see that they have the necessary labor force, be it blue or white collar, to support their activity. So if the fundamentals of the industry are there, you have the young people to feed them, and around that you have then the public authorities supporting that and creating the necessary infrastructure. The mix of these three give a long fundamental basis where real estate can thrive for a long time, not only for the next 2 years, but we're looking in decades when we make a decision on where to develop a project.
Mm-hmm. Which are the main challenges for you as a developer now in the market? Interest rates, is that an issue, and that's why you have now a new shareholder? The authorities in Bucharest that don't offer you a clear vision?
Yeah, interest rates have not affected us really. Again, we are lucky to be private equity funded. So we are not, we don't have to pay interest on bonds or refinance bonds or anything like that. So that wasn't the driver, nor for the transaction, nor for all the rest we do. The most challenging parts for me, apart from the authorities, we can keep on repeating it, is having a certainty on timeline related to permits is one. But the other uncertain factor we have seen over the last couple of years was inflation. Mm-hmm. And so it was extremely difficult to make a business plan if you don't know what the construction cost will be tomorrow. Mm-hmm. So luckily this has leveled out. We don't see a decrease, we don't see an increase, however, as well. So we can again make business plans in the longer term. Be it more on the residential than on the office side, where it is a bit more tricky to know what your exit yield will be. But there again, we do know the rental levels, and as long as your rent on cost, your yield on cost is known, you know you have a sound project. So that's under control. That again leaves us only with the authorities, where predictability is still a very big question mark today.
How big is the potential of Romania of attracting investors like you, or attracting investments from companies like yours? Because, for example, I'm thinking about the northern part of Bucharest, around Jandarmerie Street. There you built Miro offices, the Ivy, the residential part. Across the street you have Băneasa Shopping City. Nearby will also be a metro station that will connect the area. Looking at Timișoara, developed nicely, and now we'll also have a new belt road around it. Griro will very much change that part of Bucharest, which now doesn't look very nice, but with a new project, I think it will really change the area. should we pay attention more to companies that change our cities, our capital?
Yes, again, I'm a very big ambassador and a very big believer in Romania now and in the long term, and we are very happy to be used, let's say, also by the public authorities as to make PR, positive publicity for Romania in order to attract more investors. So we're not afraid of competition. I think the more activity there is in the market, the better for that market. And it's again there where there is room for improvement on the side of authorities. If I look, for instance, in the United States, where they are expected either to make an acquisition of a building in the next 3 weeks, where in Romania would take 3-4 months at least, or you get a permit in 3 months, where we need to look at 3 years. These are things which chase off potential new investors. On the other hand, looking at Western Europe and repeating the potential that we have in Eastern Europe of the nearshoring trend, the availability still of qualified people, well-motivated people, young people, all these fundamentals are there. We just need a catalyst, which again, we can only try to act as an example, but in the end, the authorities have to help us to bring this out beyond the borders.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Didier, thank you very much for your interview. Looking forward to your future investments.
Thank you very much, Bogdan. Always a pleasure. See you soon.
See you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Mulțumesc și telespectatorilor noștri. Luăm o scurtă pauză și revenim imediat cu cel de-al doilea invitat.